Hey guys, what's up? Racing mower update number 12. Thought we'd start this one off by a little field trip. My favorite place in the world. This is heaven. When gearheads die, this is where they go. And they ride these around. So let's just take a moment to appreciate Tractor Supply. Rain caps, exhaust, yokes, drive shafts, sprockets, hubs, bearing flanges, bearings, chain, hydraulics. Here's what we're looking at. This is the one we want right here. 36 teeth. Just notice they've even got these little go-kart flanges for go-kart bearings. That is awesome. They've got them all different sizes. The other piece to our puzzle though is right here. The hub for our 36 tooth sprocket. We'll grab one of these too. Idler sprocket. It's kind of big. Oh, and a box of chain. This is obviously my favorite place in the world. Let's get out of here before I get myself broke. Here's what we're buying. Idler, sprocket, hub, breakaway, and a piece of chain. It's about $70 right there. Actually, it's a little more. Ouch. Alright, so we're back in the shop. It's cold as hell out here, but I think we got all our parts together to put a chain drive system together on this racing cart. I'm going to try to build a spring-loaded chain tensioner, but first we got to get the heater going because it's cold in here. Well, she sounds a little better now. So now we got some heat, let's get to work. So here we have the parts we purchased there at Tractor Supply. My roller chain tensioner. It's got the bearing in the middle. We got a 36 tooth, 40 pitch sprocket. We got the matching hub for the sprocket for a 1-inch axle. I got these replaceable master links, but in actuality I really didn't need these because this box of chain, number 40 pitch, we got 10 feet of it here, which is way more than I need. This box actually comes with its own master link, so extras. So the first thing we're actually going to go ahead and do is weld the hub to the sprocket because I haven't welded anything in about 2 weeks and I have the urge to melt some steel. Now this is probably thicker steel than I should be welding with my little 110 MIG welder, but you know, what are you gonna do? She's welded. She's hot. I'm gonna let it cool off for a little while and then clean it up. So we set the sprocket off to the side to cool off because it's taking forever. I got the racing mower frame back up here, and what we're going to do now, I guess, is take our Honda clone engine with torque converter somewhat installed, so that way we can get an idea of where our chain and tensioner are going to set up on this frame, because I don't know exactly where that chain's going to line up. So a couple of update videos ago, when I installed my expanded steel mesh into the racing cart here, I had a couple of users, DC50123 and PivotBoy63, actually ask me how I was planning on putting my motor mount bolts in through these holes now that I can't access from the bottom. And the trick is, for me anyways, is I got these flange nuts and these wrenches with a bend in them. And I'm basically just going to kind of use them like that, reach under, sort of like dentist work, and just run the bolt down through. So the engine is now mounted into the chassis, And now that we've done that, you can see right there, back in a little ways, you can see that 10-tooth sprocket. That's our drive sprocket that will run our chain drive for our rear axle. And now that the engine is in, we've kind of got a location of where that's going to be. So the next thing on the agenda is actually to clean this guy up now that it's cooled off, and get the rear axle on there and slide that into place. So to clean the slag off of this sprocket, I think the tool of choice is going to be my 4.5-inch knot wire wheel attached to my angle grinder here. And if you guys have never used one of these things are truly awesome. Definitely worth the 20 bucks you spend for them because they last forever. All clean. Not the prettiest welds in the world, but I think they'll hold. Ta-da! Chain is on. You can see there's lots of slack right now. So the reason this thing's got so much slack and doesn't really bother me is because I've still got tons of adjustability in the motor here. So I can actually slide this forward about 1 inch, which is what I was planning on doing anyways, considering how close it sits to my recoil. You can actually see that's actually touching right there. But basically what I'll do is I'll loosen these bolts and slide the motor forward probably halfway or maybe all the way even, and build my chain tensioner, because that is just way too much slack. So now we have special guest Paul here. He's hugging the heater because he likes to rock the short sleeves in December. So we went to the hardware store today and picked up some stainless steel nuts, bolts, and washers, and some of these bronze bushings, and a spring. And believe it or not, just these things right here was like $25. So we're now into this chain drive system for about $100 so far. And I think the way we're going to actually mount this little swing arm chain tensioner thing is I got these little pieces of angle iron. We're going to weld them in, sort of like that, drill some holes. You see I got one on the other side here as well. And run a bolt through it. And we're going to run a piece of box steel cut out with this thing set into it. It might not make a lot of sense right now, but let's just start building it and I think you'll figure it out. Okay, so we've built our little swing arm. You can see I've kind of ground the edges off clean. And basically I'm going to explain this thing to you guys and why I built it the way I did. It's got a 1/2-inch hole in the front, a 1/2-inch hole in the back, and this idler sprocket, which I've already showed you, is actually going to bolt through it, kind of like that. Mind you, there's going to be washers and other things. Basically like that. You can see there's just enough room there for this thing to spin. But in the back, these holes, the idea is some of these bronze bushings, I had to cut the ends off because they were too long. Going to insert those, one on each side. And then this will mount to the frame of the racer, and this bolt will slide through. And this will basically act as the pivot point for the whole thing to go up and down on.
You're gonna have to fucking perfect this. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I know, it's a tight spot. So you can see Paul's got this tensioner kind of in place. It's not 100% perfect, it's not tack welded in, but I'll give it a little spin. You can kind of see how it's going to work. Can I spin it, Paul?
Yep, go ahead.
But you can see, I don't want to do it too much because I don't want to hurt him. But you can see kind of where his hand is here. I got it.
Okay.
Right there you can see the bushings, how it's going to pivot. It's basically got, you know, it's got to miss this piece of steel here, and it's got to miss the one you can't even see on this side. So here's the complete assembly. You can see the 2 pieces of angle iron on each side and the brass bushings in between. And we got our piece of box steel, which has become our new swing arm, and our sprocket. It's pretty simple, and it should do exactly what we want. Alright, she's clamped in there, ready for welding. Alright, so we got her fully welded in there. You can see I got the swing arm back in place. I finished it up a little bit so it swings nice and easy. You can see I got the sprocket set in there. Nothing's obviously in here permanently, but I got a nice free range of motion. I got a good amount of room against that piece of steel there in the front, and everything seems like it is beautiful. So as far as the spring mount, I was originally going to use this spring, and I didn't really know exactly how I was going to hook it up. I was thinking maybe mounting something here and then mounting it up right there and pulling it, but really that just seems way too over-engineered, like the rest of everything I do. So I actually found this spring. I don't even know what this is from, probably a Craftsman lawnmower or something. It's kind of rusty. I can clean it up. I shortened it a little bit. You can see that end is bent by me. And actually this thing works pretty good. You can hook it right around here, and it goes up there. I mean, obviously I gotta work out a better mount up here, but you get the idea. And this thing literally has the perfect amount of tension. Now that spring does look kind of funny sticking out there, but if I paint it black you won't see it as much. And when I put this seat on here, you really don't see it at all anyways. You can kind of see it right there, but if I paint it black, I don't think you'll even see it. Yeah, I like the way that works a lot. So with the exception of mounting that spring to the swing arm and mounting it to the seat somehow, the seat upright support, this is pretty much a done deal. I'm not really concerned with trying to figure out the spring mounts because that'll be pretty easy. But I'm going to head her in for the night because it's getting pretty dark and cold, and I'm kind of hungry, and this has been a really long day. It's taken a lot longer than you would think it would to come up with something like this. But if you like the video, as always, please rate it up. It helps me a lot. I'm going to go inside and get something to eat. And next week, I think we'll be working on some chain guards, maybe a belt guard. So if some of this stuff starts flying apart, that it won't kill me while I'm riding it. But that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching the video, you guys. See you next week.